So I think,
love to be able to play in a free spectrum world. All right, it's not going to happen. Supreme Court has already indicated that all natural resources belong to the citizens of the world, of the country, and so the citizens are entitled to get a fair return on that spectrum. Now, if you say, let's talk about the externalities, all right, that's the point you're saying, is that, look, there are externalities in terms of the use of spectrum which might not all be captured in terms of the pricing. That is a different issue, and I'll leave it to friends like Rajat here. And so if you want to say is that, listen, let's incorporate externalities into the pricing of the spectrum in terms of auction. But we, from the service provider's point of view, are saying is that, listen, we don't want to go to a non-auction based methodology. The winning criteria may be different, but the allocation methodology cannot be other than in an auction.
You see, the problem about auctions is overly, well, okay, let me put it differently. The fact is that the demand for spectrum is far in excess of supply. And in countries like India and probably anywhere else, right, there is really no way other than an auction to do this allocation transparently. However, having said this, there are a million ways to design auctions which can prevent these prices going so high as to eventually impact the ability of the winner to roll out networks, which is what we are interested in. Really, the problem is how we design auctions, and there are 100 ways of doing so. Unfortunately, in India, we have constantly focused on revenue maximization. We have actually exploited the scarcity of spectrum to raise funds. In fact, we could have done the very opposite. I mean, you could, for instance, link auctions to, for instance, rollout. You could link it to development of markets. You could say, look, you would be expected to build data traffic up to X levels. Immediately the prices would come down. If you were to have more onerous and more sort of public policy driven objectives in the auction, you will certainly lower the price of spectrum and actually deliver some good. But I do not believe, I mean, in fact, this is hardly something that you need proving, because you can see what the situation is. There is spectrum. There is, at the moment you auction it, there are people willing to pay billions of dollars. So, I mean, it's very clear that there is a scarcity. There is a willingness to pay. But I think where we've got stuck is that the government has seen no other way of ensuring transparency. Sorry, the government has assumed that because auctions are transparent, there is only one way of doing it. There are several ways of having transparent auctions, and I think we can serve both our objectives. One of transparency and the one of rolling out networks and services to people who need them most.
You know, I've got a contrary view, and I'm not going to touch the spectrum auctions, but we'll park where the operator's spectrum and the monetization is. But there's another thought and school of thought where we're saying that the TV white spaces need to be leveraged. The Project Loom of Google is work in progress. Facebook is saying drones need to be there. And I think so at the village last mile, where the complexity of a network is much simpler than what we have in metropolitans, and the bandwidth in a 3G and in an LTE spectrum, I think so the OTT players need to lobby for a free white space, free 2.4 and 5.8G network, which enables the village level entrepreneur use it freely. Because where is the monetization? What are we talking of the revenue for a village level entrepreneur? I think so the only application which a villager generally knows is a video download from YouTube. And that too when he buys a broadband package which is say 256 kbps or 512 kbps, which Rajan could correct me, but at a village level today we don't have even good GPRS, because there's one tower or two towers which are there, and we don't have the subsidy from USO, so you can't cover the village properly. So I think so the breed of entrepreneurs should not be controlled by the spectrum obligation. They should be let free, And the ISPAs should have the facilitation towards these system integrators at the last mile, because compliance for them is a big issue. They don't understand compliance. You could not explain the implications to a villager that, why you need to fill a CAF. He'll say, I don't need it. Why do you need to have the brand of the ISP filling in the CAF for that respective regulation? I don't think so it's there on ground. And if we continue to block it with all these things, we'll not grow on the broadband penetration. The complete government initiative of broadband penetration has failed miserably. The complete nomination of network availability through, PowerTel, RailTel, BSNL has failed. But ultimately, broadband is a necessity for the youth of the country. And we are depriving them by creating this pseudo digital divide, which I think so only entrepreneurs can bridge. But then we come on to the issue of funding. How do you fund the business? With less than 3 years of a balance sheet, you don't get that money. We have the ideas, but who's going to fund us? So all these constraints are there, and I don't think so spectrum is the only solution for broadband penetration at least. Yeah, mobile penetration, the monetization of mobile, I think so mobile operators have realized that voice was bygone. Data is the new thing. And data was not monetized on the spectrum, it was on the ISP and the NLD licenses. Thanks.
So I'd like to bring Chet into the conversation. You've done some work at APC on spectrum-related issues, haven't you, if I recall correctly? So perhaps these are all internal views. Perhaps an external view would be interesting to the conversation.
I was enjoying listening to everyone and learning. Look, maybe what I want to say here is around the TV white spaces. One of the things that we've recently been doing or want to do in the Philippines around last mile is that the ICT office in the Philippines have identified a number of what we call fourth-class municipalities or villages, where there's no one, there are no operators. So we're not stepping. There's no debate. They're not stepping on any service providers, etc. And that's the experiment that they want to do on TV white space. That's one. I'll just give a few examples. The other thing that happened was with, I believe this was with Microsoft, where there was a partnership on a project called EcoFish. It's a big environmental project where they now used TV white spaces to provide connectivity to those fishing villages. I mean, just a number of examples to say that there are possibilities, and it has to be, I think you need proof. You need to be able to use it on the ground to be able to then make an argument, for it.
Just if I might clarify just one thing on this use of terminology, right? In terms of this white space, white space when it started off was not about talking about 700 and 2300 and 2400. If you look at the discussion, it always started about using the unused existing to hop around. So here you're talking about broad swaths of 100 megahertz of spectrum that are being freed up by the TV domain, the 650, 700, which globally, right, is, you'd like to get it for white space. Microsoft, I'm sure, would like to get a hold of it to do it. But please, that is not something that is, presently defined as white space. You might like it to be defined, but that was not where the original technology started, all right? So I just want to clarify this.
So, Robert, I'll come to you. And then I'll go to my good friend from the field, the other good friend from the field, there's one here too. Shahid, I'd like you to come into the conversation on some of the actual micro issues that you face deploying stuff. At the same time, I'd like to bring in the other side of the room, like we always do at these sessions, to hear a bit from them on what they're doing, and I think you'll have to switch to Hindi to do that, perhaps, to make it more sense. So Ravinda, you, and then we'll go to Shahid.
I want to stay on the subject of white space and, just talk about, firstly I want to talk about two things. One is the will. I think you mentioned the digital divide, and we're really failing. And why should we fail? We have, if we recognize that broadband is a service, and it is a device where we could perhaps change the story of inequality in our country. We owe it to the way of thinking from the user's point of view and the access point of view, rather than the other way around. And I think once you start thinking about that, there has to be a will among operators to care about that last mile. Because if we talk about the use of fund, even before BBNL, it was lying there unused. So to me, the existing monopoly of players has to broaden to really have a diversified ISP ecosystem. So I think that is very, very clear. So that, and on white space, we have funded IIT Mumbai to do pilots, and if we are not looking at our leading technical institutions and enabling them to get licenses to do pilots, and this is in partnership with the telecom, so not replacing the 700 and giving it all to white space and staying even within the limits of the conventional definitions of white space. But yeah, we need proof, we need evidence, and we need non-partisan technical institutions to be able to get those licenses easily, to be able to do the experiments with villagers, partnering with community-based institutions. So if it's not going to happen, if that is not going to happen, we're not using what the world is doing. We are afraid of any experiment and any proofs because we're staying in a very conventional ecosystem. So I just want to say that I think we need to open up and involve those institutes in helping us to think through whether these can be effective.
Can I just clarify one thing? I mean, you talked about we work with Dr. Karandikar. We fund Dr. Karandikar. Tata Telecom funds Dr. Karandikar and his ministries, right? Yes. So I'm saying is that we are the guys who are bringing in, and we are the ones who push DOT to give.
I completely agree.
So
I think it's a great example of that public partnership, and in fact, I congratulate Tata Teleservices on that, because here we see a great example of a win-win situation for everybody, right? So I think that as a telecom recognizes its universal obligation services, it will open up to experiment as to how it might go there. So absolutely, this is not a blame game. This is to say, where are the partnerships possible? Where is the infrastructure sharing possible? And what can be done with that? So infrastructure sharing is really, really important. And yeah.
Okay, so Deepak, you wanted to interview?
I'm Deepak Maheshwari. I used to work with Microsoft, also with ISP Association. So I have some background with the Wi-Fi delicensing, and I'll be one of the first people in the industry to say that that spectrum should be auctioned. So yes, I take that. And also in white spaces. I just want to mention three things. One is that, especially when it comes to the last mile, I think there's a variety of models which might be possible, both technically as well as in terms of business models. For example, this year itself, in August, FCC invited something for rural broadband. So it's not that America mein puri har jagah rural broadband bahut acha chal raha hai, aisa nahi hai. So they invited certain bids from people, and there were different type of bidders for that. About 181 of them bid for some 400 odd different projects. And they came with different type of business models and different type of wireless and other technologies. So one thing that I would say is, in the last mile, especially in the last mile, there is a possibility of different type of business models to emerge and might be viable. I mean, these are yet to be finalized, so I'm not saying in terms of which is viable, which is not. All that I'm saying is that there's a possibility to design things like that, like Mahesh was saying earlier, in terms of designing certain things. So it need not be limited only in a certain fashion. It need not be straitjacketed. The second thing is that when we are looking at things like unlicensed spectrum, we should remember that whether you look at roads, whether you look at any type of public infrastructure, there are certain roads where you don't pay any toll tax. There are certain roads where you do pay toll tax. So I think there are these type of models. Maybe in telecom it is more about the toll type of thing, because that's how the system has developed. That things have been auctioned or have been licensed in a certain fashion, and that's how they need to recoup their investments. But the fact is that there's a space both for toll as well as non-toll type of models, and they can actually coexist, because if you have to go, let's say, from here to Noida, you may be traveling part of it through a non-toll road and part of it through a toll road, and that's how you can actually reach the destination. So I think there's no fundamental dichotomy between the two different models. Yes, there are two different models because the government has its own limitations in terms of what it can do. The third thing is that whenever we are looking at especially unlicensed spectrum, And when we are looking at unlicensed spectrum and we are offering things like, let's say, Wi-Fi, which is open, there will always be, and increasingly more so from the government, concerns around security. Because who is using, how is it being used, what could go wrong, things like that. So I think while we are advocating, and that's true even for 2.4, even for 5.8, which is already delicensed in the country, there are a few other bands which have been done for different applications. But the important thing is that while we should pursue and use these technologies to the greatest ability, we should also keep on looking at what are the genuine concerns from the government to address those concerns, because that should not be used as a shield by certain people, either to disallow or to backtrack on whatever has already been happened.
Okay, so we've got only a little bit of time left. Yeah, I'll come back. I'll come to you. So I've got Mr. Nagarajan here with a quick comment.
And we have connected 32 Gram Panchayats in the entire tribal taluka in the free spectrum, and we created India's first 100% Wi-Fi tribal taluka. So here the topic says wireless for communities and open spectrum. And I fully agree with the concerns of the industry and also with the government. But there is something in between, we the people on the field, something like Michael and us, who want to really make a difference. We are not worried about what this side says, and we have to somewhat take concern of what the government says. So here we have did some experiment, and like sir said, there is a need for a new model. District Panchayat Sabarkanta actually created a network of 5.8 gigahertz of 5 towers, and then the last mile in the village at the 5.8 receiving link and also the 2.4 spreading link, the investment of around 2 to 2.5 lakhs was done by the Gram Panchayat out of their own funds or some development funds. It is their own choice whether to do it or not to do it. But we gave them the option that if you put this tower, we will give you the link. So by this we were able to transmit internet across 100 kilometers, take it to a tribal taluka and distribute across so many villages and run the service for the past 2 months, and we gave it for 1 month free, and we had more than 500 users, and the day came when they have to pay, it went down to 150 users. But still it doesn't matter. That is the technical side. On the business side, as a district panchayat, I can invest on the tower, but I cannot run it. So I take a party who creates the tower and runs it. And on the bandwidth part, but the tower will be owned by me. The end point is with the Gram Panchayat, which is under my influence area. So it is basically government owned network. You will all agree that the person who owns the network is the master. And also in the broadband, the value comes when you take broadband at the whole scale and divide it in retail. While industry and the government decides about who wants to get the pie, we say that we also have to get a pie so that our model will run. So in this process, we, in a revenue sharing basis, we appointed an ISP who runs the network. We approve the rates and we keep 10 to 15% of market rates in areas where nobody is serving, and we take 20% revenue share, out of which I give back 10% to the village panchayat. So any turnover which is having in village panchayat, 10% they can straight away calculate as their revenue for their next month. In 7 villages, this investment has been done by self-help groups who knew that there is demand for broadband in their villages, and next month we are going to pay them their first share. So there are new ways to look at it. If any one party is going to do all this activities on this, it's never going to. Any person who is going to think of ROI will not succeed in this community's business. You have to partner with the local government, and now BSNL is agreeing to give its tower on rental basis to put our equipment. So we will basically create a big intranet where internet also will run. Our intranet applications for e-learning, healthcare, our service portal, everything can run. If you people are going to haggle, sorry being the China bull in the town, but if you keep haggling, we are going to win the race. Now administration, even a Sarpanch can tell you what are the benefits of Wi-Fi. We are going to touch 100 villages in 3 months. And we did it in tribal taluka just to prove the concept. Other places there is lot of hidden demand. There is no interference because there is only one player. It's a pure monopoly. And you get network funding, you can take all this BRGF, government grants, state government grants, 2.5 lakh rupees per village. If the government sets aside, the village is up and there are 2 hotspots, and up to 5 kilometers somebody can put a CP and take a link. What else do you need for wireless communities? I feel everything is actually going on one side, and the people who are really need to be connected is being left out. Please consider this new model. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mikey, and then.
I just want to make 2 short comments on things. One is on the auctions and one is on the externalities. First of all over the world, we know that there is much more demand than physics avails of radio spectrum. So the solution in the future and at present lies not in any auctioning model, but in additional technologies for more efficient utilization of bandwidth. It will never, ever be sufficient. Now, on the rule of government and externalities, I cannot help but comment on this. In my humble opinion, and I'm not an Indian, the rule of government is precisely to internalize externalities. The rule of the government is to look after the benefit of its citizens. And if the number of dollars or rupees that you get for auctioning a particular bandwidth is lower than the number of rupees that the citizenship of India gets at the end of the day, you should go for option 2. If it's option 1, go for option 1. My strong belief in the numbers from the world, and I'm willing to give these numbers to whoever wants, strongly indicate that free spectrum, limited, has given huge economic benefits.
Okay. Shahid, and if you could switch to Hindi as well, bring them into the conversation.
Okay, thank you. स्पेक्ट्रम, अभी हम लोग स्पेक्ट्रम की जो बात कर रहे हैं, हम लोग आईएसपी की शायद हम माइकी और बाकी जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, हम लोग शायद हम लोगों को 800 to 900 स्पेक्ट्रम की जरूरत नहीं है. हम लोग जो काम कर रहे हैं, हम लोगों का मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव है रूरल कम्युनिटी जहां पे किसी भी आईएसपी की पहुंच नहीं हुई, वहां पे हम उनको बैंडविड्थ पहुंचाएं ताकि उनकी डेवलपमेंट हो सके थ्रू कंटेंट, थ्रू गवर्नमेंट की स्कीम से, एजुकेशन से, ई हेल्थ, ई लर्निंग एंड टेली हेल्थ सेंटर. अब सवाल ये उठता है कि इन सारी चीजों को करने के लिए तो आपको इंटरनेट से कनेक्ट होना ही पड़ेगा. तो हम लोग बेसिकली जैसे अभी वो बता रहे थे कि उन्होंने टावर लगा करके 5.8 पे 5.8 बाय द वे डी लाइसेंस है, 2.4 डी लाइसेंस है. इसमें भी गवर्नमेंट की कैपिंग लगी हुई है. आप जहां भी किसी भी 5 मीटर से ऊपर की आपकी टावर होगी तो आपको सकफा क्लियरेंस लेना है. सकफा क्लियरेंस के लिए आप अप्लाई कर दीजिए. आपके ऑनलाइन अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन कभी कोई रिवर्ट नहीं आएगा. 2 साल तक अप्लाई करते रहिए, रिमाइंडर भेजते रहिए, वहां से एक एक्नॉलेजमेंट नहीं आएगा. आई एम डैम श्योर. मेरे पास सारे पड़े हुए हैं, मैंने ऑनलाइन अप्लाई किया, 4 बार उनको रिमाइंडर भेजा, वहां से कोई रिमाइंड नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि ये 5.8 है, लेकिन है तो सही. डी लाइसेंस आपने किया, आइदर तो आप लाइसेंस पे रखो, और या तो जब डी लाइसेंस किया तो पूरी तरह डी लाइसेंस करो. क्योंकि 5.8 के लिए हमें लाइन ऑफ साइट क्लियर चाहिए. उसके लिए कई जगह पे मुझे टावर लगाने हैं, 5 मीटर्स के, 10 मीटर्स के, 20 मीटर्स के. अगर मुझे 100 किलोमीटर अगर लेके जा रहा हूं, 500 किलोमीटर, 50 किलोमीटर लेके जा रहा हूं, तो मुझे टावर कई जगह पे 20 मीटर लगाने पड़ेंगे. आप लगा लीजिए, अप्लाई कर दीजिए, आपको मिलेगा नहीं क्लियरेंसेस. ठीक है. अब पता नहीं गवर्नमेंट क्या चाहती है. इसको पूरे हिंदुस्तान में 10% पेनिट्रेशन है बैंडविड्थ का. एक तरफ सरकार बात करती है कि हमें चाहिए डिजिटल इंडिया बनाएंगे, और सारे तरफ जो है आपके स्पेक्ट्रम आपके जो है वो सारे जो है लाइसेंस, पूरे सारे जगह लाइसेंस, और सारे जगह आपके गवर्नमेंट ने कंट्रोल कर रखा स्प्रेड नहीं करने. मैं डेटा यूज कर रहा हूं, वॉइस नहीं. वॉइस के ऊपर में अगर आप कंट्रोल करते हैं दैट्स फाइन. डेटा के ऊपर में कंट्रोल करने के लिए माइकी ने भी बताया कि आईपी के थ्रू हम आईएसपी के थ्रू कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. अब गांव में जिस जगह पे 500, 1000, 400 लोग हैं, ठीक है, उनको भी अगर सारी जगह अब उनको कंट्रोल करने के लिए भी आपके पास आईएसपी के पास वो कैपेसिटी है कि वो ट्रैक कर सकते हैं, कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं कि क्या हो रहा है. लेकिन अगर सकफा क्लियरेंस नहीं मिलता है, उसके बाद आपको टावर लगाने के लिए नहीं मिलता है, तो आप स्प्रेड कैसे करेंगे. दूसरी इशूज है कि आप आईएसपी के साथ जब बैंडविड्थ लेते हैं, आपको वो बैंडविड्थ किसी भी पॉइंट पे जब वो देंगे अपने बीटीएस पे, तो उसे कैरी करना मुश्किल होगा, क्योंकि वो फिर आपको पावर नहीं देंगे। पावर के लिए भी आपको स्ट्रगल करना पड़ेगा। बैंडविड्थ तो आपको मिल जाएंगे कॉस्ट पे, आप उसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं या सब्सक्रिप्शन बेसिस पे चलाते हैं, सब कुछ कर सकते हैं, लेकिन फिर भी आपको डर लगा रहेगा कि आप जो कर रहे हैं लाइसेंस, मैं रूरल लाइसेंस की बात कर रहा हूं, ना कि क्लास ए क्लास बी जहां पे 2 करोड़ 4 करोड़ और 10 करोड़ लग रहा है। अगर स्प्रेड करना चाहते हैं गवर्नमेंट, तो वाकई में इसे आप फाइबर ऑप्टिक्स है, आप पंचायत लेवल पे आप लाइसेंस दीजिए, जिसे केबल ऑपरेटर की तरह इस बिजनेस को चलाए, और ये काफी अच्छे से चलाया जा सकता है। तो बाकी हमने चंदेरी में, गुना में, शिवपुरी में, गुवाहाटी में, तुरा में, कई जगह पे कई ऐसे चैलेंजेस एरिया हैं जहां पे आप काम कर सकते हैं, जहां पे आपकी कोई भी आईएसपी नहीं है, ना तो आपको कोई भी बड़े बड़े आईएसपी नहीं है, ना बीएसएनएल है, ना कुछ है, पूरा ट्राई एरिया है, ना ही कोई स्पेक्ट्रम की ओवरलैपिंग है, काम किया जा सकता है। हम लोग इसी बात के लिए बात कर रहे हैं कि रूरल आईएसपी की इसको लीगलाइज किया जाए, सकफा को खत्म किया जाए, जिसकी कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है। अगर आप उसे डिलाइसेंस किए हैं तो उसको डिलाइसेंस रखिए, पूरी तरह से कीजिए, हाफ वे नहीं। दैट्स इट।